What's up everyone and welcome to this video. In this video I'm just going to extemporaneously espouse my thoughts about this day of 20 years later. There's a lot to really think about and it's kind of hard to figure out what exactly to talk about. I guess the most natural thing is just everyone's probably remembering where they were 20 years ago on 9/11. I can still remember being in the most preeminent school club that there was at the time, the chess club. Yes, that was a very elite, badass group of people in that club. Actually, it was a really good club. We had a really cool teacher, and we mostly just kind of chilled out and played some chess. And chess is a great game. And I remember seeing somebody came in, I think, and said something and told us about it, and I didn't really understand what they were talking about. It didn't quite make sense. Then when I went to my next class, the teacher pretty much just canceled the entire class for the day, and we were just listening and hearing about stuff, and our TV didn't work. And so the teacher next door opened his door and let us all go into that classroom to watch the news, basically. And it's pretty surreal. It's like kind of amazing how much you can remember from something like that happens. If you're in a car wreck or anything traumatic or any kind of really scary situation, you tend to remember a lot of details. And I guess that's like a survival mechanism with your brain and the adrenaline kicking in. Yeah, it was rather disheartening and scary at the time. And I remember being like confused as to like why someone would do that. Like why, would they commandeer a plane and fly it into the towers? It was just a very, I don't know. It almost seemed surreal. You know what I mean? It just seemed very scary is like the primary term I guess I would think of, and just disheartening and jolting. You can think about it now, like there was a pre 9/11 time. Oh, my dog just came in the office. And a post 9/11 time. So it's like you can remember how things were when you went to the airport and everything before 9/11, and then how things were afterwards. And then part of me thinks about that with the way things have been going on with the bug. I just say the bug because, like censorship or whatever. But I think, 20 years from now, we'll be thinking about what things were like before the bug. Kind of like how we think about what things were like before 9/11. And it definitely makes you reassess what's important in life. It makes you think about what you should have as your priorities. It makes you think about other people. I remember watching the news and people were jumping out of buildings so they wouldn't burn alive. That was terrible. And I actually know someone that was living in New York at the time, and they were outside when they were hearing everything, and their lungs actually got damaged from all the debris from the buildings. So that's something that they have a daily reminder of everything. And I think, a lot of us, can be distracted by certain things and think about some stuff that isn't necessarily the most important things in life, which is primarily, your family and your friends and your spiritual side. It can get a little overwhelming though if you just solely focus on the negative aspects of life. That's why with my channel I don't talk about really any news or any politics or anything. Well, there's quite a few reasons why I don't talk about politics. It's actually against my religion to be political in that sense. Like I'm not supposed to have a specific allegiance to a specific political entity because it's all about unity, and a lot of politics can be very divisive, but that's another topic for another day. So yeah, I don't really know what to elaborate on with 9/11 other than just, it's kind of surreal to think that it's been 20 years. And I remember my dad at the time saying that, with all the conflicts that were going on, it was probably going to be around 20 years before we actually left. And he wasn't right. It's funny, he used to have this saying that the older you get, the smarter your old man gets, and I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. It's like, the older you get, you can, especially if your parents are pretty astute or, wise, you can learn to appreciate their wisdom and their life experiences. Nobody's perfect, but I think there's a reason why many religions teach you to honor your father and your mother. So not only because you should be obedient to them since they brought you into the world, but it's also because that's a source of unity. And if you have like your family and your social structure built around the family unit, society would be more prosperous and more cohesive. I know that's kind of a tangent, but yeah, the most unifying element of a culture is its language. And I'd say that the secondary most unifying element of a culture, or the most essential, would be the familial unit. So having a family is like a microcosm of society as a whole. And so if that starts to dissipate, things, can go in all kinds of different directions. And one other thing that I do remember from 9/11 was just the sheer amount of unity and compassion that was overflowing throughout the country. Like, whereas now I think our country is probably at one of the most divisive periods in its history, I would say at that point, everything was, everyone was pretty unified. It was such a stark, tragic event that it actually made everyone come together to, comfort each other and, try to get through that kind of tragedy. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that since, where everyone just comes together to console each other and just try to, figure out what's going on and figure out what they're going to do and reevaluate themselves and their life purpose and what they're going to do with themselves. And it's pretty amazing, to see all these people from different walks of life, different groups coming together and trying to, console each other. I haven't seen anything like that since. It didn't last very long, but it was a pretty stark contrast to the normalcy of things with the way everyone is disunified. But yeah, that's just some random thoughts about 9/11. And be appreciative of those that, take care of your community and your country. So whether that's like your veterans or, first responders, that's another thing to think about. Think about all those individuals that went up into those towers without any thought of their own lives and lost their lives. That's a real sign of heroism. Same thing with that flight that was going to crash into the Pentagon, but I think it was going to crash in the White House actually, but they took control and steered it away. So it's like a true sense of sacrifice. Yeah, and it makes you, really reevaluate what you want to do in life. I think Seth MacFarlane was actually supposed to be on a plane during 9/11, during one of those exact planes, but he was late and missed it. So imagine what kind of eye-opener that was for him. But yeah, I just want to say that, my thoughts are with, pretty much everyone at this point in time, especially those individuals that lost loved ones and had to deal with that dire situation 20 years ago. I know this wasn't the most astute or most on-point video, but I just wanted to, provide some thoughts about it. I figured it was definitely worthwhile doing that. So kind of think about what you have to be thankful for and think about what others have done for you. And realize that life is short. And before you know it, it's over. And you're dead a lot longer than you are alive.